that you?
This is he.
Alright, cool, man. Sorry about that. Yeah, just running a little over there.
Not a problem. I'm good.
Alright, cool, man.
So, how many more of these do you have to do?
I got one more tonight after you, and then I can kind of chill.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's good to talk about the record, man. You know, freaking down in the studio for a year, and you know, you're hoping, you know, when people hear it that it kind of pays off. So everything's been pretty good. I mean, did you get to hear the whole thing yet?
Oh, many times. It's been nonstop playing. Yeah, fantastic album. Of course, you know, people have been waiting around 4 years for this one to show up, and worth everything, man. Just the wait was definitely worth it.
Dude, fantastic to hear, man.
This album, it seems to, I guess it takes us down some familiar places, going back to, you know, a little bit of sound from the early days, as well as venturing into new territories. A lot of buzz about it. You know, some people skeptical, not sure what to expect. From my impression, the opening overture kind of threw me for a minute. It almost had this symphonic black metal feel, which kind of ended up being a fake out, and the rest of the CD is anything but that. But was this like an intentional like misdirection to kind of fool people to start off with, or what were you thinking about that?
No, it wasn't to fool. No misdirection. I mean, before we even started writing anything, we were talking about the whole content and some of the lyrical ideas and musical ideas, and I mean, we do that with every record. And this one, no different. We were looking at like Dante's Inferno and Orpheus in the Underworld, and just some of these kind of things of going to hell and back. So that was like the big thing from the beginning, and we always knew that there would be some kind of an intro, and it was that darker thing, you know, to kind of establish that. But as the record goes on, yeah, man, some songs are real dark and heavy, and some aren't, you know, so it's just like, you know, each song has its own place, and having an intro that was a little darker, I mean, it just kind of seemed to make sense. It's that kind of, you know, lyrically and with that music, yeah, just trying to paint that picture, you know, that Inferno, the Dante, some of that imagery, the darker imagery kind of thing. So, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it wasn't a fake out by any means. It was like, okay, yeah, we need an intro, and this thing is kind of, you know, going to hell and back, so, you know, we're not going to make it flowery, so let's get in there, and, yeah, definitely a little darker.
Right. Well, there seems to be a bit of fantasy mixed in there, or, you know, historical thing, poetic stuff, as well as some real true-to-life moments that could be talking about things that you guys have gone through recently. And, of course, the whole title, Underworld, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong here, that there's actually a tie-in as far as what's going on in your personal lives and what you're feeling right now. And I mean, there's some darker stuff on there. Am I wrong in that?
Nah, it's really... Yeah, I mean, the Underworld thing really came from that Orpheus in the Underworld myth, and it's very, you know, similar to the Dante, you know, like I said, that whole idea of going to hell and back for someone, you know, with the Orpheus myth, Orpheus in the Underworld. I mean, you know, his wife dies, and he's going to go to Hades to save her, and he's got to do all this shit, and, you know, the Dante, too, it's very visual, you know, a lot of this hellish kind of imagery, and so that kind of just kicks it off, you know, but with the lyrics, I mean, you don't want to, you know, quote all the lines out of the book all the time, or try to make it too much. It's like, it still has to be real. So, like, yeah, you know, a lot of the lyrics are, you know, just how would a dude feel, you know, anybody, you know, in this situation, in a dark place. You know, and of course, yeah, there is some of the more heavier songs that are a little bit more vivid, and, you know, the fires of hell and all this kind of stuff, which, you know, works for those kind of songs.
Right.
But, you know, like maybe a song like Without You, it's a little bit more of the ballad, a little more of that emotional kind of song. And, yeah, I mean, that's got to be, some of those songs have to be a little more real. Right.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. And Without You, I think, is a fantastic song. I think it's my second favorite song on the album. It's very ultra melodic. I love the acoustic guitar feature in there. It's very progressive. You know, at the same time, and you know, it kind of gives, I don't know, and I hope you won't hate me for this one. I kind of get the feeling that if Foreigner were a prog power type band, this would be close to what they would sound like. It gets that kind of mentality in my book.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's all good, I mean, that song to me, yeah, I think, I look at it like it's not too far off from maybe a song like The Accolade or even a song Paradise Lost from that record, which we always have a song like that or two, that is the acoustic guitar, some piano, and I just think the melodies was a big part, really trying to shape those melodies to be just as memorable as anything else. Really, I think every song, really trying to get in there, and everything is important, obviously, but yeah, really trying to work those melodies and come up with some cool stuff.
Right.
What's your favorite one? You said it's your second favorite. What's your first?
Charon.
Dying to know.
Charon's my favorite.
Right on, dude.
Yeah,
right
definitely
on.
this epic, epic masterpiece there. Longest song on the CD. Certainly not the longest you've ever done, but do these rather lengthy songs evolve on their own, or do you try and push and see how far you can take it?
So it depends on the song. Any kind of song that's a little bit more involved or something like that. Like if it was like, say, Without You, you kind of know what that song is going to be, and the music is going to be a certain way, and you don't want to try to bring that to like 10 or 12 minutes because you don't need all that time to say something. But some of the other stuff, or if there's like maybe a musical section, you can maybe do some things. But we're never too conscious of the time.
Right.
Like we would know too, like just listening. I remember when we were doing the Odyssey and we listened, and it's like, man, it doesn't feel like 20 minutes. It's like, okay, that's good. Because as long as if it starts to feel long, then it's probably too long. So,
right.
But yeah, I think, just from doing it for so long, you kind of know when the song feels right. And, like you said, everything you needed to say in the song. And sure, some songs have extended solo sections and things like that, but, you kind of space that stuff out. In certain songs, it's kind of more appropriate. And, it all works. You just try to make it work so it feels right. You listen back, you're kind of done recording, you sit back on the couch, you crank up the monitors, you listen, it's like, yeah, is it kick-ass? Yep, that's good. Next,
Very cool. And I actually made a mistake. It is my favorite song on the album, but I was wrong. It's not the longest one. And so my third favorite is To Hell and Back.
I think Hell and Back is the long one.
That's the long one, and I love that. That's my third favorite. So those are the top three for me right there, man. Those are the ones that stand out more than anything. And just totally loving them. Amazing
and
work.
They're all really different. I think.
They are. It's kind of like a roller coaster ride. It goes. It's and a lot of people like the last couple albums, especially like Paradise Lost, was much more aggressive, especially vocally. And I wasn't too sure about that. It took a while for it to grow on me. But I kind of get the I don't like things that I instantly like. I like to expand my boundaries. So something that intrigues me enough to keep listening to it to where it does grow on me, I think that's it. And with this one, because it was such a roller coaster ride, with doing different things, I was intrigued just to see where you were going to go with it, what was going to be next. It's mellow, it's heavy, it's hard, it's melodic, it's aggressive, so many different things. To me, it's like embodies like the whole of everything you've done prior.
Dude, that's so great to hear, because, that really was it. That was it. It was a conscious thing of us trying to, you're writing for yourself, obviously. You want to make yourself happy, but, the fans, we pay attention, and obviously there's some fans that like the more progressive stuff, and then there's some fans who really like the last record, and it's very heavy. So I think just kind of balancing that, that's in the back of your mind, too. Some of that. And this record, it was just about the whole record as a whole and the flow. And like you said, roller coaster ride. That's a great analogy, because that's kind of was set up from day one, how this thing was going to flow and become like one whole record that, take the time and listen to the whole record. It's not about a single or one hit or some bullshit like that. It's a friggin' record.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely appreciate the fact that you do consider what the fans think. There are bands out there that just don't give a crap. They just do what they do. Unfortunately, they put out some rather terrible albums, at least by the fans, their remarks of it. They're like, well, this isn't the band that I know, so.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I mean, you got to do it what's in your heart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, I mean, definitely conscious of those things. And, I mean, you're not just making the record for yourself. I mean, you're making it for everybody. You're making it for the fans. So obviously you want them to enjoy it as well. So, yeah, man, you got to take all that into consideration.
I've always thought that bands, if they're going to do something that's so far removed from the formula that made them what they are, that they should just do something different, call it something different, not try and pass it off as, something that's going to alienate their fans.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think that's where we're kind of okay, because I think every album, I mean, on purpose, we try to make it different as it can be from the last one. And it's still within the bounds of what we've always done. So it's like, yeah, sure, maybe some people thought the last one was too heavy, or this one wasn't heavy enough or something. I mean, but I think this one, there should be something there for everybody.
Yeah, it's very well balanced, So, very well balanced, definitely. Now, over the years, there's obviously been comparisons to other artists. I don't know what is it with people, how they try to, they sound like this or they sound that, and even, I mean, it still seems to fly even in the with the fact that Underworld marks I think it's your 9th studio release now.
Yeah.
How do you contend with those comparisons? I mean, what do you think about, I mean, it's kind of like a ripoff, like you don't have an identity of your own, and you do, but people always are compelled to like try and identify it with something else, like influences and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's normal. I mean, I guess you have to label something, or if someone isn't familiar, it's like, what would you kind of say? It's like, well, like if someone asked me, what kind of music do you do, and they didn't know anything about the band, and, I can't say, well, we just do what we do, because they don't know what that is.
Right.
But yeah, man, you can, I mean, you have to throw your influences there. It's like, yeah, of course, Sabbath, Pantera, and all the heavy bands, but of course, Rush, different guitar players, different drummers, all of us in the band have different influences that we grew up with. But yeah, I mean, it's metal, and it's a little bit of the progressive stuff, and a little bit of the heavy stuff, a little bit of the classical stuff. Yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of do have to label some way to kind of get your meaning across of what it is.
Mm-hmm. I remember the simplicity growing up, where everything I listened to was just metal. But as I've gotten older, now it's like, well, it's symphonic, prog, power metal, with gothic tendencies and black metal overtones, and
Whatever, man. That starts to get too much for me. I'm just like, we're just a metal band,
right? And just leave it at that.
Yeah, if you need to be a little more, it's like, well, okay, yeah, maybe a little progressive, or but it's like, man, we're all metal bands, really. I mean,
right.
So, some guys, whatever, a little more of the black metal thing, and some guys some more this or that. And yeah, but we're all basically metal dudes.
Yeah, I've never been one to. I mean, I know some people like they have their specific genre, like subgenre, that's their thing. But I kind of like it all. I mean, I like a little bit of everything. So. I like more.
Yeah, no, I'm the same, and I really don't think about labels. And if I hear something that I like, I'm like, that's cool, and it could be whatever. It could be black metal, or it could be, anything in between.
Yeah.
If it's good, usually there's something about it that makes it worth listening to. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe some guys don't like this kind of vocal thing, or whatever. Everything's different, but. I mean, is it good? Are the guys really doing their thing and getting in there and coming up with something interesting and cool? Sure.
Right, definitely. Yeah, I dig the diversity, especially with this band. It's great to be able to hear something. Again, going back to that roller coaster, vibe. Takes you through a journey. It's different, and just instead of the same thing. A lot of bands tend to sound like every song sounds like the last song. So.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and yeah, like I said, man, it was definitely a conscious thing. I mean, every record we try to do that, because yeah, there definitely is a lot of time between these records, and it just takes time to do that and to really, kind of dig down and not repeat what you did last time, and you're always your head's in a different place, every time the writing comes around, and always learning a new lick or something new or what, whatever. So yeah, just the way it is.
Very cool. Now, I know that this far into your career, you got a good tenure going here. There's bound to be struggles in any band and business and doing what you do. But I'd be interested to know what, as well as victories, struggles and victories. What would you say has been the lowest point in the band's history and also the highest point in the band's history?
The lowest point. Wow, what's the lowest point? Oh man, I gotta think about that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make you work, man.
Yeah, no, man, that's great. I gotta be honest, and there's really hasn't been like an album where everyone hated, or there really never felt like there was maybe the first couple of records. I wouldn't really necessarily call it a low point, because at least at that time, in the States, mid '90s, metal was dying. Especially what we were doing. Nobody gave a fuck about what we were doing. So, I still wouldn't say it's a low point, because at least, we started with the Japanese label, and then we kind of got into Europe, so it all kind of kept going. But at the beginning, I guess with any band, starting small and really not doing what anyone else was doing here anyway, or very few bands. But yeah, I don't know if I would call that a low point. I mean, it's just the beginning of how it all started.
Right.
High points, there's a lot. I mean, there's plenty of high points, and probably the first show we ever did in Japan, that kind of always sticks in my mind, because just of the reasons that we were saying, we were doing this shit that no one cared about here, and there was all this grunge and all these other different, and hip hop and all this other stuff. And then our first tour was in Japan, and actually going there and playing our stuff, and people seemed to enjoy it, and it was like, wow, this is pretty freaking cool. It was not used to this. Right. So that definitely always will be there, that very first time, and different place, and people who kind of embracing what you do, and then you come back home and really no one gives a shit.
Back to reality.
It is, yeah, dude, it's the friggin' reality of it. But hey, man, it's all good. We do what we do. We like what we do. And if there's people out there that like it, that's fucking awesome.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of those things. Doing Gigantor was another great thing. Playing with a lot of great bands, with Megadeth and Dave Mustaine and the Dream Theater guys. There's just a lot of things over the years. Playing with some guys that you kind of admired. Getting to meet some of these guys, Priest and Dio, and just so many guys over the years, and great shows and great experiences. And it's always going. Every time there's always something new that kind of look forward to.
Right on. Very cool. I got one last question talk to you a little bit about, and I'll let you go. Get on to your next one. Your touring plans for the fall are set to include a run of co-headlining dates with, I guess you consider them like thrash legends Overkill on the bill. This is kind of an unlikely pairing. How did this come to be?
We knew these guys. I mean, they're from in town here, the Overkill guys, and we knew about these guys. We've been friends with these guys for a long, long time. Our rehearsal place that we practice is the bass player Didi. That's his place that he owned.
Okay.
So we've been having run-ins with those guys for the last 15, 20 years or something, almost, for a long time. And yeah, man, we all kind of became friends, and I've done some work with Didi, for his record. He'll ask me to, can you put some guitar on this or do something? And, we get along really good with them dudes. And we always said, yeah, man, we should do something together. Because there's been times where maybe we travel to Canada for a festival, and we kind of share a bus. And, man, we all got along great, man. Good guys. And we're all chill dudes, so it's a fun time.
Very cool.
So, like I said, man, it's always like, oh, we should do something together. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, let's do it. It's different. Yes, they're a little more thrashy than us, and maybe we're a little more, we have some of the melodic and progressive thing, but yeah, I mean, we got some riffs, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. No, like I said, I like the diversity, so it's kind of cool to see, different spectrums there. The gap in there, it's awesome. Change it up a bit.
This is what we were saying about, a lot of different subgenres and things like that, but a lot of them are really close, and a lot of us all grew up with the same stuff, and it's cool that every band is a little different, and when you get a package like that, the audience too, they're getting a little bit of variety, and as long as it's not too friggin' off the chart, as far as what they're doing. Like if we were playing with a hip hop DJ, I could see there'd be cause for alarm. But
right, yeah, that'd be kind of out there.
Symphony X and DJ Fizzy or something, that ain't gonna fucking work.
No. Yeah, there are limits.
But metal, man, we're all metal dudes, man. So it's all good.
Very cool. Well, I thank you for the time. I'll be seeing you in the LA date. Really looking forward to it. Again, just a fantastic album, man. Loving it start to finish. I can't get enough.
Oh, I hope that's the overall consensus when this thing comes out, because
yeah, my review's my review's a good solid page of detailing it. So,
dude, that's fantastic, man. All right, great. Really appreciate it, man. Really do.
All right, Michael. We'll talk to you again sometime.
All right, man. It's good talking to you.
All right. Have a good one now.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye.